And we are very grateful.
Thank you. And the first question, Sassoon family come to Shanghai, come to China 1841. To Shanghai sent office 1845. Kaduri family, all these Sephardic families first come to Shanghai, work for Sassoon company. Then some people left Sassoon company, set their own business. So Kaduri, I think, I'm not very sure, is 1860, 1870. Yeah. Second question, because you know I used to live in the area, former French concession area. The street originally called Rue de Lafayette, now called Fuxing Road, middle. So when I was a boy, we had Jewish neighbors. So I think this may be initial interest. Also, Shanghai is a very special city. It's Jewish community is very important influence. I just mentioned like music life and architects, many Jewish buildings still there. So many people interested in this. So that's the reason we set our center in 1988. I was founded, and after 1992 we began to do research on Israel. Before that, Israel was a very sensitive topic. So from initial interest, gradually became academic interest. That's maybe a long process.
Thank you.
That's right.
I have two questions. One question is, you didn't mention where the first wave came from. I don't know where they came from. Once it came through the Silk Road.
Yeah.
The second question is, are there any ethnically Chinese Jews?
Okay. First group. First group come, I just mentioned, the time is like 8th century, during the Tang Dynasty in Chinese history. They come from this, they come on the Silk Road. And different opinion about where they come from. Now most people hope they come from Iran, because they use special Hebrew. Special Hebrew, and called Judeo-Persian language. It's only used by Jews in Iran. And there's something special Iran Jews. So, but some scholars think some Jews may be from India, or by Shi from the Yangzhou or Quanzhou. Because at that time, many Arabic, Turkish, Persian people come. Chinese, I don't think Chinese know the differences. They think the people come, the foreigners. So I think this the first wave is beginning to 7th century. Some people argue maybe Jews come late, but much earlier. Then first temple time, second temple, but so far no evidence. Maybe in the future new discovery, so we can change this.
Second question. Ethnic.
Oh, ethnic, yes. The Kaifeng, yes. In the Kaifeng, yes. Kaifeng is because intermarriage. Kaifeng Jews is very interesting story. It should take a long time. Why is it assimilated? Because first, no anti-Semitism. So very comfortable, same like local Chinese. Secondly, Kaifeng Jews was very successful to pass imperial examination. This old system. Kurj, it means that any people want to be the Chinese government officer, they have to pass this examination. And Jews passed this, became governor or something. So they had to speak Mandarin. They had to dress Chinese. This is beginning of the assimilation. And they changed the name. Like the Levi family, I'll change it to Li. Li is in mainland is L-I, in here is L-E-E. So in Kaifeng, if you meet Mr. Li, he's from Mr. Levi. Yeah. Ezra family changed to I. So this is very interesting. It's become no anti-Semitism. So it's very comfortable, more easy to, like some Jews in New York. Great. So the intermarriage, when they marry Chinese wife, for example, so you can say that here he is a local ethnic Jew. Still now we have in Shanghai 3,000 people, they have Chinese wife, so their children. But for the Orthodox, then it's very difficult. When they marry, they have to move to Reform. And Orthodox said, no, they are not Jews. Yeah. But some successful case, one lady, he goes through all the complicated. He can speak Hebrew, he joined everything. So he officially became Jews, but not many. Yeah. So you can say this is maybe a local.
And actually last week, I think a group of Jews from Kaifeng emigrated to Israel. There was about 10 people arrived.
Yeah, I was wondering, after the war, World War II, and during Stalin's terror, did any Russian Jews emigrate from Birobidzhan, for example, other places to Harbin or somewhere else in China?
Yes. So far, we don't have any people come to China from Birobidzhan. But recently, very interesting, recently the Harbin, rebuild the synagogue, open Jewish museum, they invite people, delegation from Birobidzhan. So now Birobidzhan people establish a connection with Harbin. But in the history, because at that time, I don't think they get permission to leave Soviet Union. Yeah. But we are very interested in the Birobidzhan.
Could you say something about anti-Semitism today?
Okay. Today I issued a book to Professor Small, Charles, and in fact there is no real anti-Semitism. Now the program for today's China is many books about how Jews make money. Jews and money, something. In fact, you can change the title, how Japanese make money, how Shanghai people make money. And some people call Shanghai people is Jew, Chinese Jew or something like that. So this kind of book sell very well. But I don't think this is anti-Semitism. But recently a book called The Currency War. You have this now. Some people said this is anti-Semitism. I also don't think so. This book said Jews should be responsible for financial crisis. He mentioned the Rothschild family. It's crazy. Rothschild family had an influence 100 years ago, not now. But of course, he mentioned Lemon brother, he mentioned the Madoff or something like that. Then I write an article, I said, cannot connect it, financial crisis, to any special religion and ethnic. Like cannot connect it any terrorism with any religions or ethnic. You cannot say Islamic terrorism. I don't like this because this is, not real Islam. In Quran, the jihad is very nice word, but now the jihad became suicide bomb. So you should be very careful. You cannot connect the financial crisis to any group, and especially religious ethnic group. And this man is Chinese student in the United States also. I think he influenced by something in the United States. So he wrote this book. I know this man, he mainly want to make money. So this book really sell very well. Almost 200,000 sale, and I will more. But we don't agree with this opinion.
I think this is referring to the third wave of the Ashkenazi Jews that went to Harbin. Some escaped the pogroms by going west, and some went east through the Trans-Siberian Railway to Harbin. Was there a difference in social class, profession between those that migrated, that escaped west, and those that went east? What influenced the decision to go in either direction?
I think not really deep differences. Yeah. In 1888, firstly, after the pogrom, the most escaped from Russia come to the United States, come to North America. But at that time, small group, they have some connection with China. Before they come to Harbin, Harbin was already Russian state. The Russian Empire built the railway, and many of the engineer works come to, and some of them is Jews. And also then, Russian-Japanese War, 1905. And during Russian-Japanese War, many of the Jewish soldiers in the Russian army come to China. After the war is over, they don't want to come back to Russia, so they live in China. So the Harbin people mainly is engineer, technical people, and the former soldiers in Russian army. I think they're more educated. They are more educated. The most is intellectual people. Yeah, all soldiers, both military people, both. So number about 20,000 to 30,000. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your talk. It was really very, very interesting. I have like two questions related. First, it's like from your talk, it looks like the Jews. I mean, it's like China looks like a very pleasant place for Jews, and like a lot of respect to tradition and everything. Very, very impressive. But one question is like, on the other hand, we hear that I'm not sure what is the attitude of China, of the Chinese regiment to the nuclear weapon of Iran. And another question is, I mean, I was never in China, but I was exposed to stories that related to the Olympic Games of human rights in general. So if there's a problem of human rights in China in general, how come you like the Jews? I mean, what other minorities suffer and why? I mean, so first Iran, and second, like human rights in general.
About Iran is not my area, but I think two principles. First, we like the United States, we don't accept Iran with nuclear weapons. It is impossible, we think. Secondly, we don't support any military attack to Iran because it will be disaster. I was in Iran 2005 during a conference. I was told 70 million people. Among the 70 million people, 40 million people were born after 1979 revolution. They invite me to home. I found that the young people very pro-Western. They watch the movie, Hollywood movie. It is illegal in Iran. And you can see recently, after the election, people come to street. They want to reform. And they told me we need a Deng Xiaoping in Iran. So I was very proud of that. So this is, I think, basically, we have this position. And about human rights minority, basically, I think in China, minority share the same right, not any prejudice, something like that. But of course, some the extremist group want to find opportunity among this minority, especially the Al-Qaeda and some other organization like called the Eastern Turkestan Islamic Movement. This is in the list of terrorist group, even in the United States. They do some bombing, they attack some people. And in last several days, in DC and New York, I discussed with US sides on Afghanistan, Pakistan. The situation is really serious. We don't know how President Obama can deal with it. Send more soldiers or bring up soldiers back. I don't know. He will be China in the middle of November, only 2 weeks later. Now we discuss how US and China can work together for Afghanistan and Pakistan. A really serious situation. The extremist group. So in China, basically the situation I think is okay, but we're very careful, especially the extremist group. For example, Chinese Muslim, 20 million. The most people very moderate, but the recent years influenced by the outside world, it became a small group, became very extremist. So this is I think everywhere, in China, in Pakistan, in India. They attack some buildings. In Indonesia, they attack Marriott Hotel, bombing or something. So I think this is we share combinations. We have to work together in combating this extremist group. But we will very arrange the minority issue and the religious issue very careful. Basically, I think the situation is okay. But always something happens sometimes. Yeah.
And also on the Iran issue, I think according to the New York Times today, the Iranian regime is going to reject the offer to have an agreement over nuclear processes.
France, Russia.
France, Russia, US. So that will be interesting. I think China and Russia said that they would put sanctions if Iran rejects this offer. So it'll be
I
interesting.
don't think so. It's very difficult.
So I have a question about how common was intermarriage between the Jewish refugees in Shanghai and the Chinese people, and also were there any specific gender patterns, like was it the Jewish man marrying Chinese women or vice versa?
Not very popular between refugee and Chinese, but very popular between Russian Jews and Chinese. Because reason is the Russian Jews, they really don't want to back to Soviet Union. They regard China as second home. So many Russian Jews learn to speak Chinese and marry Chinese. The refugee, they come to China only for heaven. So after war, most of them come back to not come back to Europe. Most immigrated to four countries: U.S., Canada, Australia, Israel. So this is a very short time. For Sephardic Jews, very interesting. They are very wealthy people. So they don't speak Chinese. But one people is very rare, is Mr. Hadon, one of Sephardic businessmen. He married a Chinese. So this family now many movie and book about him. Here at his home, when they have dinner or lunch, they have two tables. One is Chinese food, another Jewish food. And usually he sits in the Jewish table, his wife in the Chinese table. But sometimes he come to Chinese table. When he passed away, two children. One is Judean, another is Buddhist. So some people is very, very interesting. Yeah.
So, final question.
I'm just curious, do you think there are any sort of cultural similarities with regard to family values or education might have helped Jewish people fit in really well in China? If like any shared cultural values of education or family values?
Oh, yes, of course. My opinion is three. I always say the first is education, second is family, and the third is let's say the business culture, very similar. But of course, Chinese will always do restaurant, and Jews do diamond. And also, I should mention now is several groups work for this, want to make a movie. We have already many books, of course, many exhibitions, and more than 30 documentary, but still not story. So Mr. Spielberg and Mr. An Lee all work for this. We trying to make a movie like Schindler's List. We have already 5 scripts, but not good.
So then also, thank you very much. On behalf of everyone.